What's up, guys? This is the Honest Outlaw here, and today we're going to be doing another 1,000 round review. This time on a pretty good budget gun. We're going to be talking about the all-new Canik Mete SFX. Mete? Whatever it is. It is M-E-T-E. Choose to pronounce that any way you want. I'm sure it means something super special and awesome and badass in some other language, but I don't know it. I only do gun reviews. Vocabulary is not my strong suit, so if I pronounce it Meta, it's because I think that sounds cool, and that's what we're going with. So before we get into the review, I want to mention my Patreon supporters. Thank you guys very much. It's because you guys, we had ammunition to feed this bad mother. 1,000 rounds in this economic climate with the ammo prices that are right now is not cheap. So I appreciate you guys now more than ever. We do some exclusive content over on the Patreon page. If you want to enjoy that or just help out the channel, we appreciate it. Go down to the link in the description and sign up. Also in that description is a link to a local shelter in Ames, Iowa that I like to support. It is the YSS. It's a youth shelter. Those kids could really use your help, so please get on there. It's a link is in the description as well. Go down there, click that link, and donate a few bucks to those kids. A few dollars goes a long way. All right, so the Canik Mete SFX is the newest version of the Canik. I actually got this gun and then another, the SF. I don't know which one it is, the regular size gun. This is the 5.2 inch long slide, which I was much more interested in. And this is the one we have 1,000 rounds through because it's more fun to shoot. So this is the one I will be reviewing. We got a couple hundred rounds through the other one, and if you want to hear a quick after action report, it was good. I shot it well. We left the iron sights on that gun. We used that to test the iron sights, which we'll get into later. We shot, like I said, 200 rounds of mixed ammunition through it, and it functioned so well that when one of my buddies asked me if I had any guns for sale, I sold it to him. But that should be a glowing recommendation that I would be willing to give somebody a gun to defend themselves that is a more budget-oriented gun. So that gun was obviously good enough, and so is this one, spoiler alert. We'll get into some of the specs, and we'll talk about the changes, then we'll talk about the overall review, which might surprise you a little bit, so stay tuned. So this is a 5.2 inch barrel. This is actually the threaded barrel, which is an aftermarket option, but I did get this from Canik in a big old kit, and they did send a bunch of stuff with it that you will have to buy extra if you choose to buy the gun. So keep that in mind. It's not going to change my review or anything like that. I bend the knee to no one, I promise you. However, we did get this sent from Canik, so I want to get that out of the way. Now, the 5.2 inch barrel is nice for not only accuracy, but low recoil impulse because it keeps the weight out in front, reduces the muzzle flip, but it also does another thing I like a lot, which is bullet expansion. So bullets tend to expand better and have more velocity through longer barrels, so your bullet is actually going to get more energy on target and a more successful wound cavity with a longer barrel, so keep that in mind when you are poo-pooing the long barrel guns these days. Most guys want like Glock 19X size of gun. I like my velocity personally. 9mm on the short end of effectiveness, even though I love it, so it can use all the help it can get, so I like the long boys. Now, it's got these slide cuts in it that are very similar to the SFX Elite, which we'll get into here in a minute, but as you can see, it doesn't have the serrations on top, and it does come with different sights. This is white 3-dot sights with a big old front sight meant for combat-style engagements, whereas this comes with a blacked-out rear, which is removable when you put on the optics mount. This is the optics mount for the Trijicon RMR. It looks kind of strange without an optic on it, but I have more guns than optics, so this is how a lot of my guns end up sitting. Sorry about that. So the optics mount between the two are going to be different. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with this gun, this is an amazing gun, which I've done tons of reviews of and videos of, so feel free to check it out. But one of the downsides to this optics mount, even though it's very solid, is that you have to remove the rear sight. Whereas on the Mete, you don't have to. You get to keep your rear sight, but that is a trade-off. And a trade-off that I'm not sure I'm super in love with, because they have a smaller footprint for the optic, you have to put on smaller optics, or at least to my knowledge. It came with this Shield RMS sight, but it also can adopt the Trijicon RMR CC, which is an optic I would recommend over this. During the process of shooting, for the second time now, we've lost 0 with this style of optic, so I'm not going to blame the gun for that. It's the optic. The mounting system seems to be pretty good, but limited optic selection is not awesome. However, it is nice that you get to keep the front and rear sight, so if you'd rather have that over the standard optic, you get to decide basically which one you want. Now, with that being said, the serrations on this one are actually a little bit better than on the SFX Elite, in my opinion. They're a little bit sharper and they're easier to hold on to, and I actually think the coating is a little bit better as well. Now, this is more of a competition style gun, this is more of a combat style gun, so you will see a difference in accessories. For example, the magazine release is extended here where it's not here. I prefer this because I have had issues where I've dropped magazines in the past with extended magazine releases, and that sucks way more than getting a quarter of a second off your reload. So I don't really recommend these for anything serious. The trigger in the Meta is better even than the Canik SFX, one of the best triggers I've ever tried in a handgun, and that's saying something for the MSRP, which we'll get into here in a minute. Now, another thing that's an improvement on these models over the previous is going to be the texture is superior. I like that a lot as well. And then the magwell is also superior. So we have a extended magwell on there that if you want to run this in a competition or something, you got to take it off, like carry optics or production, not a problem. Single screw to take that off. Now, from my experience, mounts like this tend to get loose. So if you're going to run the magazine well, which it didn't, but it tends to, so make sure to put some Loctite in there. We have some adjustable back straps. We have a new trigger guard right here. So you have an undercut to get higher there, and you have a concaved trigger guard. It's a cute word. It was on their website. And that doesn't really help me at all, but this helps me a lot. So the extended beaver tail on the back there, which isn't super visible until you actually meet them up and you can see that it's like that much longer, is a big help as well. You won't be getting any slide bite on this guns, and I got the big old ogre hand, so if I don't get it, you probably will not either. We got a Picatinny rail up front, serrations on your Jerry Michalek spot there. If you run it like Jerry Michalek or nothing fancy, you can put the old booger hook up there. And then we have a spot here for your thumb. If you drive with your thumb like I do, and I like that a lot, whether you use your finger, your thumb, or you don't use anything, that's all personal preference. We have a similar takedown, but slightly different takedown levers, as you can see here. These are smaller, more pronounced, easier to get to, which I like a lot, because if you get gunk and grime, like when we used to do those mud tests in there, these are extremely difficult to strip your gun and make it work again. So the bigger levers, in my opinion, the better. Now we have ambi controls. You can swap the magazine release, and you have ambi slide release, slide lock on both sides that work extremely well, even though they are embedded into the frame. So they're hard to hit by accident, but easy to hit on purpose, and that is the perfect mix, in my opinion. Now this is the FDE version. They come in several different colors. I really like the FDE version. It looks extremely sharp, in my opinion. Mine came with a gang of mags because I got the influencer kit thing. I don't know how many it actually comes with, sadly, because I did get it from Canik. I think for a duty gun, competitive gun, concealed carry gun, you're going to need at least 6 to 10 mags, you know? And for a gun that you shoot a lot, you're going to at least, you would at least like 6. You don't want to load 6 and go out and shoot 120 rounds, something like that, depending on magazine capacity. Of course, these are pretty awesome with the 18 to 20 round magazine capacity. Their standard is 18, which is nice. 18 plus 1 in the gun is 19 for those who didn't go to elementary school. And 20 plus 1 is 21 rounds, which is spectacular. That's perfect. So awesome magazine capacity, and the improvements are well received in my opinion, all but maybe the optics cut, but you can still put a Trijicon RMR CC on there and you'll have a damn bomb-proof optic, and on top of that you'll have a bomb-proof set of iron sights as well, giving you a sighting setup in any condition. So I do like that, but I do wish I could put an SRO on there because the gun is extremely fast and accurate, which we'll talk about here in a minute, and it's hard to get that speed out of it with a smaller dot, although you still can do it, which we will show. Now we'll get the old one out of the frame there, and we'll focus on the new one here. And I gotta tell you, as far as the reliability goes on this gun, I was impressed. We had some initial reliability issues with Caniks like 3-4 years ago, but since then we've had almost none, and the Canik Mete continues to improve upon reliability with 1,000 rounds through the gun, Phoenix ammunition, reman about 500 rounds of remanufactured ammo through this with 0 malfunctions, Fiocchi 115, American Eagle, and then I put 1 mag of Hornady Critical Defense. That's extremely expensive, but I know people are going to use this as a defensive gun, and I wanted to see if it would run hollow points, and it did. So yeah, so overall diverse set of ammunition, all 115 grain. It's set for my 147 Phoenix reman, and that ran through this as well, which is nice because if you wanted to put a suppressor on it with the threaded barrel, you can do that with the 147 grain, and then you won't break the sound barrier, and your shots will be nice and quiet. So that's pretty cool. On the back here we have a serrated butt plate with a striker and or loaded chamber indicator up there as well. So all the indicators that you need to, for some reason, avoid just looking in the damn chamber. Don't trust this, don't trust this, trust this. That's my personal experience. That being said, the speed and accuracy of the gun was pretty fantastic. So imagine how good this gun was, and then add a slightly better trigger, and add better texture to the gun, and a better overall grip with a lower bore exercise. And what you have is a pretty fantastic shooting striker-fired gun, in my personal opinion. It sucks because Canik's not an American company, but the reality is that these guns are phenomenal. They're absolutely phenomenal. Or at least this one in front of me was. I can't test for all the guns that are in the world, or the gun that you might get, because quality control can differ between companies, and Canik is on the good side but not on the great side like H&K, so there could be some lemons, but this one was extremely reliable, and it was stupid accurate. That pre-cocked striker trigger that they got from the P99 series, which is very similar to the PPQ, VP9, and PDP, because they're also all copies of the P99, and it has that, and that is extremely fast and accurate. Then you've got a pretty decent set of sights or an optic, which you know, makes that accuracy even better because you get the 1 point of aim. And then you've got the low recoil impulse, allowing you to shoot essentially with impunity at pretty much any distance, 100 yards and in. Very fast up close and very accurate overall. Trigger, sights, pretty awesome. Grip's pretty awesome. That equals a fast and accurate gun. Barrel obviously is of high quality as well, or you wouldn't be able to pull off those groups. I was able to hit 6-inch plates pretty easily at 35 to 50 yards. I could hit pepper poppers all day at 50 yards with this, and I could hit IPSC targets all day at 100, making this on par with pretty much any other gun we've had on the channel. And for the MSRP of $575, you get a lot of features with this gun, you get a lot of function with this gun, and you just get a lot with the damn gun for $575. And I've even seen them for less than the MSRP, which is pretty classic when it comes to Canik. So overall, is it an improvement over the previous design? I believe it is. I believe Canik listens to their customers, apparently, because there's been like 40 models of the fucking Canik in the last 10 years. So they have to be trying at least to make it a better gun, and I think that they've done that. Looking at models that I reviewed 5 or 6 years ago, this doesn't even feel like the same gun anymore. So I think they did a great job adding the features that people wanted, all except for the optic system. I think this would be one of the best striker-fired guns on the market if it would just simply accept larger optics, and maybe there'll be plate adapters and stuff like that, or maybe they already are, where you can put a larger optic on there. But if you could do that, man, this thing would be one of my favorite striker-fired guns ever, and I think that's the only thing that really holds it back for now. So, I mean, I'm in the camp where I'm willing to sacrifice a rear sight for a good optic, because I don't use my sights to line up my red dot. One sighting system is generally good enough for me. To be honest, I can engage targets at 30 to 50 yards without sights. So overall, I would prefer a larger bomb-proof red dot, like maybe a Trijicon RMR or SRO or a Holosun 507, and I would take that advanced optic over this rear sight. But other than that, the gun's amazing, and if you're thinking about getting one and that doesn't bother you, you're going to run iron sights, well, I honestly couldn't recommend it enough. So overall, hopefully it's as reliable for you as it was for me. Sometimes budget guns will have a quality control issue of some type every once in a while. See my reality of budget guns video for examples of that. But other than that, great gun. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please help out your local homeless shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later.